Good morning and welcome to your Farm and Home Show. I'm Kristi Shive, and this morning we're visiting with Dr. David Weisenhorn. He's a senior extension specialist for parenting and child adolescence education for the University of Kentucky. David, today you are with us talking about how important it is for parents to be involved in adolescence online use. David, why is this so critical?
So it is beyond critical, Christy, just because so much of social media, the way that we used to relate socially has completely changed. And the online format or media or medium is the preferred way that kids now are engaging, whether that's just through chats or FaceTime or even through gaming.
Mm. David, I did not realize that cyberbullying and different attacks were happening through video games. Can you talk to us just a little bit about that?
The way that people are engaging or young people are engaging, they get to invite their friends in and then they can play and communicate together. And a lot of ways in which this communication is happening is through headsets, right? Because mom and dad might be in a room closer and they just don't want to hear all the chatter. I think in a lot of ways, bullying happens through these games because people talk trash to each other. And it might be in good fun, but depending on the age of your child or the sensitivity level that they have, it can be extremely damaging and can be considered some form of bullying depending on the age of the children that are on the game.
David, the last time you were on the show, we talked about the importance of adult supervision. And today, I just wanted you to briefly talk to us about ways that we can encourage our kids to stay in communication with us or things to look out for.
Sure. You know, one of it is setting an expectation early on what's acceptable in your home. Like I said, for us in that gaming thing, we really said, hey, that's not acceptable language. We're not going to talk to anybody that we play with like that. And so having a firm expectation and then being able to follow up and say, hey, if that does happen, here's your repercussions. I'm
Mm.
not trying to make that up on the fly. You know ahead of time what the consequence of that is in our home. And so for us, that's not being able to play or not being able to play with that person again. The same is true when we talk about online use. I mean, if we're in chat groups and stuff, parents, if you're not monitoring what is happening in the chats of your children, I think you're missing out on an opportunity to be aware of how children interact. You know, our brains aren't fully developed in the adolescent stage, and the main piece that's missing is that ability to predict what's going to happen in the future or to think of consequences of our actions. And so children, when they tell you, I don't know why I did that, they're being honest. They don't know. And that's just a part of that brain being under construction. And so as a parent who needs to supervise our children, we should be looking at what they're saying to each other, what's going on in the group chat, how are other people responding to my child? And maybe we identify, hey, that's not appropriate language. That's not okay for that person to say those things, and helping our children understand what's acceptable and not acceptable.
And David, you've mentioned before that it's not an invasion of privacy when you are doing it to protect them from cyberbullying, from predators, and there's just so much that we could talk about, and we don't have the time today. David, you've covered some great topics. Can you share with us a few of those sites that you mentioned in our last segment?
Sure. NetCerta, NETCETERA, is a great place to go online. NetSmart is another place that might have some good protecting your kids online. 2.0 is one of their documents that have really good practical points. And FTC.gov is another one that does a really good job of providing a PDF of here are some points that we think are extremely important when parenting a child on who's experiencing online use.
All right, David, thank you so much for being with us today. Thank you for joining us today on the Farm and Home Show, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you.